Joining me right now is Gordian Group President Peter Kaufman talking about implications here. Peter, it is good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I want to get to Puerto Rico because we got headlines out of Puerto Rico as well, which are equally as negative. But first, let's start on Greece. Your observation for the latest happenings. ECB and IMF saying something's got to give, no more money.
Yeah, this thing is rapidly devolving after all these years of more slowly devolving. They need, just like Puerto Rico, they need a workout, not a bailout. Meaning it isn't enough just to have the jackboot on their throat of austerity, but it's got to be in combination with doing something with the debt burden. It's in nobody's interest, not the creditors, not Greece's, to have this be the way it's continued. And Puerto Rico, same thing. Puerto Rico, to me, is getting its ducks in a row a lot better because they're calling for an overall workout. They're not taking quote-unquote bailout money, which is essentially borrowing money to pay interest on debt they can't afford in the first place. And you can't get blood from a stone. In corporate America, the financial markets like it when borrowers clean up their act financially and operationally, and it ought to be the same thing on both of these on a grander scale.
But in Greece, that is exactly what we are seeing, Tony. You're seeing, capital controls in place. People are unable to take out more than $66 per day out of their ATM, and we're going to see a referendum where Cyprus has asked the people, you tell us, are you willing to leave the euro at this point? What do you think happens?
I don't think they'll leave the euro. I don't think it's in anybody's interest, akin to what Peter said, that this devolves into an absolute financial chaos. And what this $66 is going to do is it's going to accelerate that decision-making of the individual. They're going to look at this and go to the referendum and say, well, this is not working out so good. How do we fix it?
Yep.
And the problem is, in the government, you don't have anybody that's really willing to fix it. Whereas in Puerto Rico, that's the opposite. You have a strong desire to work it out because they're going to need continued funding. They're going to need continued favored relations. So that's really the difference.
Bonds are also selling off and interest rates are skyrocketing across Europe, Dagen.
And I wonder about our municipal bond market, with what Puerto Rico is going through, with what Puerto Rico will need in terms of a workout. What are the knock-on effects here in the United States? We say over and over, is the U.S. Greece? Is the U.S. Greece? Well, Puerto Rico is pretty close. What happens in the muni market here? Do we need to worry about contagion here or not over there?
No, I still think things are under control here in some large respect. You know, Puerto Rico, most borrowing, municipal borrowing per capita in America, 8 times the face amount of what Detroit had. This is a big deal. They owe $72 billion. But I do think that there is a workable solution here. Puerto Rico is not able to file for insolvency proceedings. That's a hammer that some municipalities have, like Detroit, and what private companies have. That's always the template, remember, for how these things get done. So I think lacking a hammer, it's going to be quite challenging because there are numerous creditors and municipal borrowers in Puerto Rico. But I think that there is a way to impose order on that chaos, and I think it's very important. There's got to be a sharing of the pain. The folks who own the debt, a lot of them have bought at steep discounts. They're certainly expecting that things might not be incredibly rosy, but they need an overall solution. You can't just keep that debt propped up. There's got to be a recognition of what Puerto Rico can afford to do.
How is that traded, Peter? How's the Puerto Rican municipal debt traded over the course of the last couple of months since this has come to the forefront?
Well, I think that it's been choppy, and none of this, what's happening in Greece is not a surprise. What's happening in Puerto Rico is not a surprise. It's not like we woke up this morning and all of a sudden this thing blew up.
And yet the governor says his administration will probably seek significant concessions from creditors on that $72 billion debt load. What do you do if you're an investor in Puerto Rico right now?
But that's exactly right. That's a workout as opposed to a bailout. There's got to be an equitable sharing of the pain. You know, at Gordian, we're all about shareholders in restructurings. Here, the shareholders is functionally the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and there's got to be a sharing of the pain. The creditors have to participate in that, and the impact on the municipal market, Dagen.
Right.
Interest rates may go up somewhat, borrowing costs may go up somewhat, but I don't think as a general matter that should be the case. It's very specific. Okay. Who are you lending money to?
Right.
You no longer, here's a fun fact, you can no longer with impunity loan money and expect that everything's going to be rosy. You've got to look at what's happening around this country, and you need to be more careful.
Right. You stop picking your muni debt with a dartboard.
Correct.
Right.
Peter, good to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for your insights. We so
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Peter Kaufman there. Major developments in Greece certainly topping the headlines at this hour. Cheryl Casoni with the very latest right now. Cheryl.